All right, welcome back to Bye Guys Special Edition FAQ4U Episode 2. I'm Raff.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Stu.
Bye Guys is 20% Statue of Liberty, 30% Flea Flicker, 50% Draw Play. We are here tonight with the man, the myth, the legend, Hoa Phan, the one and only miner that we actually know in the flesh. They exist, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've never spoken with one before in my life, but boy, it's a good thing to know. Hua's an old friend. We go way back, almost a decade when he lived on the East Coast. Then he moved back to San Jose, where he's mining that crypto like a maniac. And we are here to learn tonight all about mining, the ins and outs. And I'll tell you what, Hua, thank you so much in advance for being here. We are excited to talk to you, my friend.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you for having me.
And we're going to jump right in because, we're going to remind all our viewers, this is not financial advice. This is financial education. But I'll tell you what, Hoa Phan, Dr. Phan brought his A game and he prepared a little slide deck for us. So here's the plan. We're going to run through the slides that Hoa prepared. He's going to tell us a little about the main components of mining. And then we're going to ask questions as the dumb, kind of peanut gallery guys from the Muppets tend to do. And Hua is going to do his best to not laugh in our face and call us idiots the whole time. But hopefully by the end of this, we're going to learn a lot. Then we'll bring it back together and just have a good Q&A, robust back and forth. Because I'm telling you what, by the end of this show, maybe all of us will buy our mining rigs and we'll get on with this business. Who knows? You never know. Crazier things have happened. So let's kick it over to Hua and just walk us through my crypto mining journey in 3 parts. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll say I personally got into mining because I want to make some money out of it. But really, it taught me a lot about coming up with a financial plan, but also more understanding of where the economy is going, where the next phase is. And then for me, it really gave me a multi-decade investment thesis. So what I like to do is break it down into 3 different parts of mining: the technical aspects, the hardware, software, and then more importantly, the financial. I mean, that's why you got into it. So first off, with the technical, mining is basically about creating a block and validating transactions.
You want to hit that?
So
slide,
the way you want
Jeff?
to think about it.
Boom.
Yep.
All right.
Or
you can tell him when to advance the slides. While you're in control, my boy.
Yeah. Let's go to the 3rd slide. Yeah, the next one.
Yep.
All right.
Good.
There you go. Yeah. So it's about creating a block, validating transactions. The way you want to think about it is every single block has a whole bunch of different stuff in it. So let's say if I send money to Raff, the transaction will have the amount of money that I have, and then Raff, Ethereum in this case, wallet, and then what the transaction does is I would validate it, meaning what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I have money, so that I'm giving Raff not fake money but real money, and that's pretty much all that gets tied in. And within Ethereum, there's something called a proof of work. It's where if you can kind of see the little image right there, is you use a lot of processing power. You converting work into the protocol itself. So as a consistent mechanism, it's basically how do we get a whole bunch of people, pretty much all over the world, that don't know each other to trust each other and then come to an agreement of what is correct and what is not correct. So that's pretty much the essence of it.
I have one quick question. I just want to jump in here because
yeah.
I'm curious. So you are mining Ethereum, and I want to know why Ethereum versus Bitcoin, or is that something you'll discuss later in the financial aspect of it?
Well, yeah, it's very simple. At the moment, right now, you're making more US dollar when you mine Ethereum instead of some of the other things.
Is that true? Even though they banned the miners in China, they're like, I thought that might be an opportunity.
Yes.
So
yes, it is true. And it's just like anything in the real world, when there's it's really about supply and demand. So when there's too much miner, then what that means is they make very little money. So a whole bunch of people will drop off, but they won't drop off 100%. They will drop off to a certain amount that it will still be profitable for them to mine Ethereum instead of some of the other coins, such as, let's say, Raven coin, that use a proof of work. And but how about Cardano? I can't mine Cardano because Cardano uses a proof of stake. It's just a completely different consensus mechanism. Does not require any any graphics processing power at all. So it's just different.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question as a follow-up?
Yep.
to- Just real quick, and tell me if you want to move to the next slide after this, but you mentioned Cardano, proof of work, and proof of stake. And Ethereum will be, or is in the process of moving from a proof of work consensus to a proof of stake in ETH 2.0. So is the obvious question, will you no longer be able to mine ETH? And then when do you anticipate that happening? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so when Ethereum actually make that transition happen, to from proof of work, which is what is it right now, into proof of stake, then it does mean that I no longer can use my mining rig to accumulate those Ethereum rewards. Now, of course, at the moment, right now, they're saying it's going to be about the end of the year. But historically, what happens is that the Ethereum developers aren't that great with following certain timelines. In my opinion, I think developing software and protocol like this, there's a lot of things that they can't foresee. So what they want to do, they want to make sure that when they do execute the proof of stake, it's actually working. Because if it doesn't work, then I think at the moment it's like a 200 billion valuation. So it's a lot of money. They just want to make sure they do it right.
So you're banking on it being a little bit delayed. That's you're kind of saying I can.
It's already delayed. I mean, historically, it's supposed to came out in 2017, but it hasn't. It hasn't. Okay. Now, it's just like anything in the crypto space, thing changes all the time. So what you could be seeing is during the transitional period from, let's say, now until whenever proof of stake is, it could be a hybrid model. So to think of it like, for example, it could be a proof of stake, but then at the same time in the back end, if something doesn't work, transactions are still being validated. Because if transactions are not being validated, I mean, the whole network fails. So they don't want that. Now in terms of profitability, yes, it will go down over time as more and more people join, but also as the difficulty, which we will discuss a little bit later, it increases, and there will be other points. So, like for example, back in the early day of crypto, when there's only Bitcoin, you can only mine Bitcoin. But then there was a point, I believe in 2013, 14, 15, where so many people joined, they create a whole bunch of different machines called ASICs that can do pretty much a lot more with a very little space and everything. People just weren't earning money in US dollars, so they just stopped.
This is fascinating.
So even though, let's say, for example, Bitcoin is a proof of work, it's not I lose money from mining Bitcoin or trying to mine Bitcoin just because I have to pay electricity, for example, right? And the electricity cost is much higher than the reward I'm getting in terms of Bitcoin.
Unless you think about
so
that.
It's always changing. It's always
10 years from now, that little Bitcoin could be worth quite a bit. But yeah, we see where you're going there.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so let's I want to get back on track here. Maybe the next slide. Hit it up. Okay.
Yeah. So what you want to think about is like, why would you want to be a miner? Well, you get reward in this case, I'm mining Ethereum. You get in ETH. So in this particular slide, I should show that the reward decreases over time, as you can tell. So right now, at the moment, it is for every 13 seconds, the Ethereum protocol releases 2 ETH as the block reward for miners, plus a transaction fee. So think of transaction fee as, let's say, for example, if it's like you pick how fast you want your transaction to be validated, to be confirmed.
That's
to
the
go
gas,
through.
right?
So for
That's
example,
the gas.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. It's just very simple. Think of it as a transaction fee. Now, if I'm a trader, for example, which I'm not, I really want my transaction to go as quickly as possible. So I'm willing to pay a higher fee. I want to tip the money a little bit so that they would include my transaction into the next available block instead of waiting, let's say, 10 minutes for them, because it's worth it for them. Now, just like what we talked about, what points to mine, basically anything to use proof of work. There's a great website called what2mine.com that will tell you pretty much all the different points out there. And of course, it's always changing too. Just the new project arrived right now. Ethereum is the most profitable, followed by Ravencoin, Ergo, and Eero. There's a whole bunch of different set of things that we can go through. All right, let's go to the next slide. We talk about basically the hardware and the software of it. Pretty much the easiest way. If you have a desktop or a laptop, you can just download miner software. Like for example, the one I'm using is called T-Rex Miner. You want to join a pool. It's called Ethermine. And there's a whole bunch of different other pools too. Basically, what I'm doing, I'm putting my computing power with other miners so that we can compete. We can compete for that ETH reward. Because with the reward, if you're the first one and the valid one, that's when you actually get the reward. If you're second place, you get nothing.
How would you characterize like the competitiveness of this?
It is very competitive. It is very competitive just because there's a lot of money to be made.
Yeah.
You can see that. I do apologize. I don't have the link here, but it shows the network hash rate. Basically, what it is how many computing power is within the particular network. So just to kind of give you some scale, the biggest one right now is Bitcoin, and the second is Ethereum. And the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's like 200x. So you could say that in the technical sense, Bitcoin network is a lot more secure than, let's say, the Ethereum network. And then it's just pretty much a drop off from there from Ethereum to everything else, Ravencoin or Eero or Ergo. It's like pretty much the big daddy. Now in this particular link, which other people can kind of view later, it pretty much shows. It's a great video by this guy on YouTube that I watch all the time. It's called Red Fox Crypto, and he will show you a step-by-step process. It's a 12-minute video. It's great. That's pretty much the videos that I use to get started, really.
Thanks.
And then second, so this is the easiest way. Let's go to the next slide, which is pretty much show if you want to build your own, just instead of using your computer, your normal computer, if you want to build a standalone that all you're doing is pretty much mine these particular coins. You can kind of see it's a think of it like an open case desktop. And then of course,
do you have this set up currently?
Yes. It's slightly smaller. So instead of I think the image has 8 graphics cards. So those little rectangle things, I have 5 at the moment.
And that's what is the computing power that basically solves the equations that enables these trustless transactions. Is that right? Am I crazy about that?
Yeah. So
That's right.
So basically, within the protocol and within proof of work, so in order to reach consensus, so you think about on our daily life, it could be we can vote as a consensus, right? This one is use computing power to tell, hey, I believe this one is correct, and it's not just me saying it. I'm actually putting a lot of graphics card behind my choices, and not only me, but a whole bunch of other people are also putting their weight onto it as well.
When you say a whole bunch of other people, how many other people are we looking at? When you say a whole bunch of other people, what?
Yeah, in terms of the number of actual people, I personally don't know. What I do know is just the hash power, which I mean, honestly, I don't even know what this is at the moment. But it's I guess if I have to guess, there's like a couple million people like myself.
Couple million
across the world, basically. Yeah.
So,
yeah, and of course it's people coming in and coming out. It's very easy. Pretty much all I had to do is I can turn off my RAID, so I'm not a miner anymore, and I can choose to turn it on, and I'm now a miner. It's as easy as that, on and off.
But you just leave it on all day, baby. That's what the plan is, right? You want
24/7, 24/7, 24/7. Passive income.
That's right.
So I have so many questions on this part of it that I don't want to slow this down. But like the one I do want to ask, and because it's gotten a lot of press recently with all of the miners. This is with Bitcoin leaving China, and you see these pictures, these images of, 20,000 rigs and 5,000 miners are leaving, and they're setting up these huge mining farms in the US and a couple of other countries. And so I wonder, like, how can an individual miner compete to get a piece of ETH? I got a couple questions. One is, when you mine, you get fractional pieces of the ETH and then it's split among the network. Can you, as just an individual on your own with a rig just like this in your apartment or your house, can you actually be successful in getting and out competing? And maybe it's not fair to even say is out competing against, a huge farm of 1,000 people doing this in another country. So what's the, is the success completely dependent on hash power and number of people doing it? Can one person be successful doing this and you be profitable? I assume so. So like, give us a sense of like, how can one person compete against a country or a farm of people with thousands doing this and warehouses?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on your definition of success. And for me, honestly, it's just about, if my electricity bill, let's say $200 for the month of, let's say, July, and the reward I'm getting is, let's say, less than that, then obviously it's not worth it anymore, because I'm paying more for it. Now, for me, right now at the moment, it's still worth it, because basically what I'm doing is I'm able to buy a fraction of Ethereum at a fixed cost, a fixed rate. If you think about it. So let's say, for example, if for the month of July, I'm able to mine 1 ETH, which is at the moment, which is fluctuating
$1,800 or
$1,800. Let's just say, for simple sake, it's 2,000, right? And if I can do that, and let's say my cost, let's say, for example, including everything, it's, let's say, $500 a month, I'm making money, right? And the best part of it is that, it again, depending on your definition of success, what's your goal? Do you need money next week? Do you need money right now? Do you need money 6 months from now, a year from now? So, oftentimes, let's say, for example, ETH right now is at, let's say, 2,000. We know, I think, what is it? Back in May, it was at 4,500. So, it's things can go up, obviously things can go down. But for me, my plan is long term. So for me, it's worth it if it will continue to be worth it if I put in 200 a month and I get more than $200 of each, then I will continue to mine. Now, when it costs me more to mine ETH, that's when I'll stop, and then I'll take a look at some of the other ETH. And it's not really. Yes, I'm competing with other miners for the reward itself, but it's not a zero sum. When I join when I have my little rig and I join with other people, we basically, what we're doing is we're diversifying our risk, because again, you only get the reward. You are the first one, and you could be you and other individual all join as one entity. So at the moment right now, it's still worth it.
That's fascinating.
It is cool. And thanks for these links. We're going to drop them in the comments below, in the video description below. We'll put the links to HOA'S how-to videos. Let's move in. Is this part 3 of your presentation, the financial aspects? Is that right? And then we'll get back just to general Q&A. It's a good segue from Jeff's question.
At the moment right now, it's like, should you get into it? And for me, I've been building computers since I was 17. So I'm very comfortable with doing a lot of troubleshooting. The way you want to think about it is that I am making these graphics cards and the computer to do things that it was not designed to do for a 24/7 period. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm running it at full speed, 100%, 24/7, 365 days. So that's the goal. So
are you gonna burn them out? It's like Tron. They're probably like
no.
There's programs in there killing each other.
Oh my God, no. But these are things you do have to think about. So if you're not comfortable with tinkering with the hardware, like either building something like this, but also the software itself, because again, it's a software, it will crash. You got to understand, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to restart this? Do I need to reinstall, et cetera, et cetera. But then if you want to expand your farm, that's what they call it, a mining farm, right? And do you have the electricity capacity? Because usually, like at my house, for example, it's residential. It means that it can only pull a certain amount of electricity. If I pull more than that, it goes, it doesn't go like that, but you can also get blackout.
What's the electrical cost? Like real quick, what's like, just to give us a scale, like is it the same as a hot tub would cost to heat a hot tub for a month? Or is it substantially more than that to run that rig for a month?
Yeah, I haven't looked into the actual electricity rate, but what I can say is that, so like for example, if I wasn't mining, my brother and I would spend about, let's say, $100 in electricity, right? With my mining rig, the mining rig alone consumed about $160 to $180 of electricity a month. So it's like almost triple for usage. And now that's just one little machine. And there are other people have multiple. So let's say, for example, right, I have 5 graphics cards. Some of these guys, especially in the links, they have 30, 50. It's insane. It's insane. So with California, I'm paying about 30 cents per kilowatt. It's a lot. It's very expensive. It's very expensive. But let's say a place like West Virginia, Florida, for example, North Carolina, usually it's around. It obviously depends on your region, but usually about 12 cents. So for them, it's a lot more affordable. It just makes a lot more sense. They pay very little in electricity, which means they keep more than more. And then just like another point which I touched already, why don't I just buy the coin instead of mining? And again, I'm being able. I will buy the coin. I will buy ETH. Obviously, I do separately, but I will buy ETH, not mining, when it costs me more to acquire it through mining than just pretty much buy it. Because especially with mining, it's obviously we talk about the electricity. We also talk about you gotta make sure you have enough room for it. So usually, oftentimes people build a shed if they want to go big, like 50, 60, 70. So some guy they turned his whole basement into it. Some guy turned his whole garage. So there's a lot of different things. But right now, I just put mine right next to the window, get all that cool breeze into it, and I'm just gonna let it go, because I think right now I kind of tweak everything into it. I don't get a lot of errors. I'm very comfortable if I need to go in maybe once a week, restart it, and that's about it. Really.
There's where I was going to jump in. Well, I play a banker. I play a banker by day, and so I'm just curious, how much time on a daily or weekly basis are you spending, like, in it? Like involved in front of this, as you referenced, tweaking it or spending your own kind of time with this equipment. How many hours a week are we looking at to make this run the way you want it to run?
So when I first got into it, obviously I was brand new. I didn't know anything. I spent about 4 or 5 hours just learning about it, tweaking it, understanding it. But now I would say I spend about 15 minutes every day just checking in on it, making sure that it's physically it's good, it's no dust, anything. And then I check on the software, make sure it's running. I also check my wallet, make sure I'm getting the reward stuff, and that's it. Every day, 15 minutes. I'm gonna continue going on it. It is, right now it's very simple. Now, at the moment, I don't want to expand just because, one, it does heat up a lot, and it's summer here in California. I don't have AC, so it's gonna generate an excessive amount of heat, and then more importantly, I personally don't have the space for it. That's the only thing. Now, I was thinking maybe long term, I might move to Texas or Colorado or maybe Washington,
West
get
Virginia.
the hydro dam.
West
Or West Virginia,
baby, yeah.
whatever
It's
it is.
affordable. We know a great school.
That's right.
School there tucked away.
This is
But yeah,
fascinating.
at the beginning, oh man, I was was thinking, yeah, this could be my business because it can be. It can be, and it's not just obviously Ethereum, but some other things will come. Because proof of work as a consistent mechanism has proven it's at the moment right now, it is the only proven mechanism to work on a multi-billion and $1 trillion, which is Bitcoin. With proof of stake and some other stuff, it hasn't have enough history, or the things that back it. It's not as large as the one we have with Bitcoin. But time will tell. Things is going to change a lot. At the moment right now, I'm just going to stick to my little guy. And just kind of moving on, doing all of this. Should you get into it? Should you not get into it? It's really based on your timeline and everything. And the next, this is for me. It's a very simple. If you want to get into the math of everything and kind of break everything down, of how long it would take me to break even on the cost of all the hardware, all the GPUs that I bought, all the motherboard and everything. Obviously, this does not include the time that I put into all this, but it's just some basic math and accounting. And I think at the moment right now, it takes about 6 months to completely break even if I don't plan to resell some of these graphics cards. But if I do take into consideration of break even, then it usually takes about 3 months. Actually, I think at the moment right now, I'm pretty much break even. So the only cost that I have to worry about is $162 or $180 every month. That's it. That's all I got to worry about.
And then do you sell your ETH when you get it, or do you just hold it? And I guess when you get it,
so
fractional pieces of it and then just hang on to it in a wallet. And I mean, I guess, is that how that works?
Yeah. So I think one of the learned things that I learned of crypto mining and crypto mining theory in general is that this is a small part of my crypto investment. And crypto investment is a big part in my investment plan. So for me, my investment plan is to be able to buy, let's say, $1 million house in the next 10 years. So I don't need it right now. So for me, I'm more than happy to hold as long as possible. Basically, I only care about the price of ETH when I'm actually selling the ETH in about, let's say, 10 years from now. And my assumption is that Ethereum will be worth a lot more than what is this right now. If you think about it, if Bitcoin is the internet of money, Ethereum is the internet of financial markets. So instead of let's say, for example, right now with my Raff IRA, it's with Vanguard. It won't be with Vanguard. It will be on the internet, and Ethereum will be the back end, the protocol that will enable pretty much all of this. So instead of the stock market, it will be on Ethereum.
Wow, you're definitely a crypto optimist or an enthusiast, or what's the word when you're just like all the way to the max? You think it's going to really transform the whole world, basically.
It will be. It will. Yeah, because what we know right now is the current system that we do have, the current institution can only handle what it is now. It is very backward looking. In the future, if we are in an information age, and if a lot of things we're doing is digital, this is digital. This is the future. And the future. There's a guy, his name is Balaji, which I follow. He says more or less the future is here. It's just not widely dispersed.
Well, it's what I keep telling everyone that watches the buy, guys. We're here super early, and it's depressing. Let's pivot real quick to the current state of the markets. I'd love to get your thoughts on some of the more promising options out there. Obviously, you're big on ETH and Bitcoin as sort of the two big boys in this space, but it sounds like you play around with some other coins. You're interested and you diversify your portfolio. You're a wise man. You watch a little bit of our show, you know where we stand, and you observe our Moon Bulls race, as challenging as that's been for me. But I just wonder, here's the state of the market today. Noah just pulled that up. I mean, ETH is down 12% in a week. That's pretty rough, man. But at a certain point, also, what is two questions? I'd like to get your thoughts.
Time to buy, that's what it is.
That's right.
It is. It's below 1,800 now. Jeez.
I
look at-
mean,
Oh shoot!
I
My
love
gosh.
it. I love it.
Well, see, this gives me confidence because a guy like you, Hua, you're invested in this. You got hardware. You're a miner, and you got a
Mhm.
big smile on your face. You see 1783. You're like, yeah, get me in. I want more of that. That gives me kind of reassures me when I go in and get a little bit here and there on these down days, down weeks, down months as it's been. So first, I do want to hear about some of your thoughts on more promising coins and in your own portfolio. But I also would like to put a little plug in, and it's actually more of a question. You said like at a certain point, it's not worth it for you to mine ETH because you'd have to pay to mine it. It would cost you more expenses in the electricity than to actually. On the other hand, if you any ETH you can acquire, if it's going to go up over the long haul, it's still worth getting, I guess the answer would be you just buy it outright. You don't mine it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
This is fascinating stuff, man. I really have appreciated it. So let's turn to your some of your own picks outside of Ethereum and Bitcoin. Anything that really gets your attention out there, a lot of promising application or utility or what's your overall strategy in this space?
So in terms of the big picture, my investment thesis with crypto is that what we have is a whole bunch of different projects. They're not really competing against each other. There will be a certain niche for any of these things, and you just got to figure out what. So like I said, if Bitcoin is the internet of money, where people store their value over time, it is digital gold, right? Ethereum, it's not competing with that. It doesn't want to be. Let's say, for example, if it is the internet of financial markets, okay, the stock market and everything like that. Maybe Cardano will try to do that, but maybe let's say specialize in a certain form. So say instead of, let's say, just like Vanguard, for example, instead of doing stock picking, like the New York Stock Exchange, for example, it's just
right.
like, we are a mutual fund. That's what we're gonna do. And Vanguard has makes some pretty good money with that as well. So I mean, in all honesty, the only two investments right now I have is pretty much Bitcoin, which is 95% of my portfolio, and Ethereum is 5%. I'm still doing just a little bit of research on some of the other projects here. Cardano does have some great prospects, but again, right now my focus for my money is just on beat and Ethereum, and I'm not saying no to it. I'm just waiting. I just want to see a little bit more. Now, it
got to get in early to get the rewards, baby.
You guys' horizon is a little bit different than mine. I'm only 30. I'm turning 31, so I don't have that much money to kind of go around. And I'll get there. So so right now I'm just doing a whole bunch of research, just having my eye wide open. What I don't do is there's a lot of hopium, like optimism. I'm like, okay, like
the buy guys.
Agree.
Have you researched the Flexa network?
I could agree on principle, okay? And honestly, I want the whole space to do well. So I don't really care if one point. I mean, the one thing I look at it is the market cap. If it's going up, that's a whole space. If it's going up, it means something is right. I don't know what it is. Now, to the second point is, how do I value these things, right? How the hell am I going to value Bitcoin and Ethereum? It's very different from, let's say, like a normal company where cash flow and they have money coming in, money going out. I mean, these things have none of that. So to think of it is that we have to come up with better metrics of how to evaluate these things. So if you think about historically, when the internet became big, let's say Google, Facebook, people were very hesitant. Let's say Facebook is a social network. Like, how the hell are you gonna make money? Okay, you have a lot of users coming in, but how does that translate into our whole investment? I think what I call it, your valuation model, right? If you're trying to understand Facebook using the same model to understand General Motors, it's just not going to work. So people have to come up with new units, new analytics. So they start doing user activity, page view, and this whole big thing for social network is called the network effect. It basically means that for every additional user that is added into the network itself, the value of that network grows substantially. It literally, just zoom up like a jet, just like that. Very simply, if you have a phone and no one else has a phone, it's useless. But when I have a phone and you have a phone, you can call me and I can call you, right? But if Sue now has a phone, then there's just a whole bunch of more things that can be operated. So some people are saying you should value Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of the network effect. So as more and more people join the network, more and more people buy into Bitcoin, then of course the value of it's going to go up. I think it's a great model, but at the same time, I think it's still very limited because again, it's not just a network; it's more than that. So I think people got to be smarter and then find it. I'm not that smart, so
Man,
I
wow,
know
you are bringing some knowledge to the buy guys tonight, my friend. This is a level of sophistication we have not had maybe in the entire run of the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I love what you're saying here. It even reminds me of some things I'm hearing about, like the flippening, when maybe because to your point, you don't want to value just on the network. Right now, Bitcoin has the most people involved and obviously the highest valuation, but that could change on a dime. Ethereum is, you look at it like in a functional standpoint, that's the platform where everything's being built. And so from a utility standpoint, ETH could potentially flip on the market cap. It could catch up and even exceed Bitcoin in the not too distant future. That would be a remarkable day. And but to your point, I want it all to succeed, except for AMP, but even AMP, I do want to get,
They're just jealous, Hoa. That's what it is.
I know, man. I know. I would say, screw it. Just let them try it out. That's what I love about it. Bitcoin never asked for permission. Ethereum didn't ask for permission. It didn't ask for permission. They just do it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, okay, next. And that's how you do it. That's how you do it. I mean, the future is very much unknown. Let's just try everything. If some will fail, fine. Okay, life moves on. I'll just do something else. But you just gotta try it. You gotta make it happen. That's the most exciting part of all of this.
I love it. I love it. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and AMP changing the landscape.
That's right. Some people say I should diversify and everything, but I'm like, diversify into what? There's a lot of uncertainty. Let's say, for example, with the financial market, stock is at all-time high valuation. Can it go higher? Probably, but what's going to happen after that? Real estate. Oh my God, real estate in the Bay Area has went up 10% for the last 10 years. All right, and it's going to continue going up like that because they're not really building fast enough, and with interest rate at all-time low, it seems like it's going to be like that for a long time. Okay, so real estate is also another really good. Gold has done terrible, compared to pretty much a lot of other things. So it's just like I don't know, this whole crypto thing. I kind of buy into it. It is amazing. It is amazing. That's the way I think about it.
Any other questions about mining, fellas, while we have Hoa Phan on the line?
No,
I want to say, go ahead, Noah.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Hoa, give us a little quick look at that rig that you have in your house. Show our audience the rig that you have there in your.
Yeah, absolutely.
This would be a fun visual for folks to check out. It gives you some context in terms of if you're thinking about having one of these in your own home, click on some of those YouTube links, the how-to videos that we're including.
Maybe we get Hoa to build us one of these and I'll house it in my basement in West Virginia. If all you got to do is turn it on,
he could donate it. He could donate one to the buy guys.
The problem is we don't know how to service it, right? We don't know how to keep it going. Yeah. I could flip an on and off switch. I can't do much. I can reboot my Apple when it messes up. When the mouse freezes, I just restart it and that's it. That's about my functional knowledge of how to, deal with computers. So I guess I'm at a disadvantage there. But I think here's a model that I'll be curious about.
Yeah.
And I think I pitched it to you once, and you didn't reply to me because you thought I was going to take advantage of you or something. But like someone like me who might have some capital to invest, I could say, let me put up a couple grand. I'll buy you a couple of those things. I'll buy a rig for you. I wonder if there's anyone out there that would like rent their services to be a miner for hire, and then we split the profits or something like that. I don't know, man. I just think there's some interesting models.
Some people do that. I personally don't know anybody that does that.
It's probably hard. The economics of that are probably challenging because the fluctuation of the value of these things is so radical.
Yeah, I think oftentimes what they do is the guy was like, hey, I have the space, I have the room for it, and I have the electricity capacity for it. All you got to do is ship me, the stuff, and I would just keep it here, and I just connect it to kind of, your particular wallet. Some guys does that, they were doing it for a while, and they said, you know what, why don't I just buy my home and just do it?
It's the Wild West out there, man. Real quick, I want to know, when did you first you just got started very recently in this, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I got it in February 2000 of this year.
Wow, you're getting right in the heat of it. That was like things things are getting out of control, huh?
That's right. Yeah, what was really crazy, if let's say, for example, at the moment I'm earning after electricity, let's say $15 a day, right? That pretty much an all-time high. And when prices go up that rapidly from, let's say, 2000 February to May, $4,500, it means there's a lot of activity. So people buying and selling, a lot of traders trying to do that. So when a whole bunch of people are trying to transact all at the same time, then the fee goes up because, again, you want your transactions to go up. So even though the block reward is still at 2 ETH, the transaction fee went up from, let's say, at the moment right now, it's half ETH to 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically what that means is that on a great day, on pretty much my best day, I was making $50 with the same amount of computing power. And right now I'm earning 15. So it's something.
That's a really good, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was thinking, where do the fees come into play? Who gets the fees? Obvious. So the fees go to the miner. So let me just, for my own understanding here, let's say the electricity is $200 a month to run the rig you have, and prices are low, prices high, whatever that is. For $200, you get a fraction of an ETH, and let's say that fraction of an ETH is worth $300, right? And then when there's high activity and the price goes way up of ETH, so ETH's at $4,000 of it 2x's in the next month, then you're conceivably also going to get more gas fees. So you're going to make the same amount of ETH, but the ETH is worth twice as much, and you're getting twice as much in gas fees, the transaction fees, because the demand is that much higher. So does that affect the mining? Is it harder to mine, or is the frequency of getting a block, I hope I'm describing that right, the same when the activity is through the roof, crazy high, ETH's at 4,000 versus what it is right now? Is it easier to get an ETH right now than it would be at that time? I'm just curious about that real quick.
Yeah, so
I like how I say real quick at the end of it. Like,
so within the Ethereum protocol, it allows one block to be added every 13 seconds.
Okay.
So you could say a block could have 50 transactions, right? If it's less than that, it's fine. If it's more than that, then you have to wait for the next block. All right. So if you want yours to be on the next available block, you're willing to pay a lot more for that. Now, when the fees is high, which means there's a lot more transactions, and if people are fighting for that 50, one spot out of 50, the fee of it it's like a bit. It's like a bit. Things keep going up. Just think of it as let's say it's a Saturday night. You're out in town. You're trying to call an Uber like 1 a.m. It's gonna cost a lot more than, let's say, at 8 p.m. You're competing. You're competing, and the network is smart enough to kind of to increase the fees like that. So what it means is that when there's a lot of transactions going on, the fee is very high. It means that me as a miner, I'm getting 2 Ethereum plus some extra Ethereum from the transaction fee, because the people using it, they're using ETH, which is Ether, which is the currency that we talked about within Ethereum. They're using that to pay the transaction fee.
So when Raff buys NFTs from Gary V, and he has to pay gas fees at ETH, that gas fee goes right to you?
Yes. Yes. Well, it's not just me, but any miner that participate in that block. Yeah.
That's where it goes. This is really enlightening, because I bought some Gary V friends NFTs. I got some Gary V NFTs, and it was funny because the cost of them was like half an ETH, but then you had to pay the fees to use it. It was very confusing, and the fees were different at different times. And you get these little notices. Gary V would say, "Hey, the gas fees are lower right now if you want to get in on it in the auction."
Yeah.
So I think there's some things that market still needs to get sorted out, but it's kind of a fascinating thing, man. And I gotta say, any other questions here to wrap us up tonight? Otherwise, we can, call it an evening.
Well, I would say if you guys have time, what is your investment thesis for pretty much all these cryptos? What is your expectation? So, like, for example, if I believe that Bitcoin is the internet of money, and it's digital gold, which means it is 10 times, 100 times better than gold. And if it's gold, let's say right now the market cap of gold is say 20 trillion. It means that Bitcoin, if it is digital gold and if it is 10 times better, it's not just take over gold, it will be even more than that. Now, of course, the question is when. I don't know.
It's unpredictable. I just know in the long term, it's always been up year over year. Anyone who's got in held for more than 3 or 4 years, I think it's definitely in profit. So if you look long term, it's guaranteed. Not financial advice, just financial speculation. All right, folks, we do have to wrap it up here. It's been a great hour with you, Hoa. Thank you so much for your time. You are the man. You are an honorary buy guy of all time. We're going to bring you back on someday. We're going to build a rig. We're going to build stuff in Stu's basement.
Let's do it.
Space. I have space.
Sticker on that rig.
So thanks everybody for joining us for episode 2 of FAQ4U. Bye guys. Special episode with Hoa Phan. Remember, in the lotto, you got to play to win. In crypto, you got to buy to fly. Till next time. See ya.